doing songs out of this book called Hymns of Faith and Inspiration, and wow, I never expected to learn something from this book that's caused me to look into the lyric of a certain hymn. But, you know, of course, this week being Father's Day, here as this is being recorded, today is June the 13th, and Father's Day is coming up this weekend. So I thought this would have been an appropriate song until I read the story of it. And this Frederick Faber guy turns out to be a Catholic. This is a Catholic hymn. I never knew this. So, you know, I have a whole different feeling about this hymn. I mean, I liked this hymn until now that I know that. And it doesn't matter what that might cause you to think of me. This isn't a good hymn. And when, you know, it says, faith of our fathers living still in spite of dungeon, fire, and sword. Oh, how our hearts beat high with joy whene'er we hear that glorious word. Faith of our fathers, holy faith, we will be true to thee till death. We will be true to who? Our fathers. You know, it's not talking about our fathers like our parents. It's talking about Catholic fathers. This ain't a good hymn. Faith for our fathers, we will strive to win all nations unto thee, and through the truth that comes from God. Wow, you know, it brings on a whole new meaning by knowing this. Mankind shall then be truly free. Faith of our fathers, holy faith. Okay. Faith of our fathers, we will love both friend and foe in all our strife, and preach thee too as love knows how. Both friend and foe in all our strife, and preach thee too as love knows how, by kindly words and virtuous life. It's kind of vague. But look, here's a verse that they say often is taken out. And I certainly have never seen this in any of the hymn books I've ever seen with this song. Faith of our fathers, Mary's prayer shall win our country back to thee, and through the truth that comes from God, England shall then indeed be freed. Okay. If the Lord ever leads me to be a song director again, I certainly know a song I will never direct. Let's read this one. It's a good hymn. Many of the beautiful and best-loved hymns of faith have their beginnings in unusual circumstances or stirring events. In contrast, the author of this favorite hymn, Ray Palmer, said, "My faith looks up to thee," had no external occasion whatever. Even so, the life of the author and the development of the song itself are both interesting and worthy of review, we could say. The son of a judge, Ray Palmer was born in Little Compton, Rhode Island, on November 12, 1808. As a youngster, Ray was a bright and earnest student who received good marks in the local public school he attended. Despite a promising academic career, however, the youngster was forced by family's financial problems to quit school at an age of 13 and make a job as a clerk in a Boston store. Overcoming his discouragement, Palmer devoted himself to his job as he had to his studies, and sought personal growth and encouragement at the Park Street Congregational Church. It was there in his teenage years that he accepted Christ and first felt the call to become a minister of the gospel. Shortly after this, Palmer was able to resume his education at Andover Academy, and upon graduation he was accepted at Yale University and received his degree from there. In 1830, at the age of 22, while completing his education at Yale, Palmer took a position teaching at a girls' school in New York City. He continued his teaching after graduation, and it was during this time that he came to write the words to My Faith Looks Up to Thee. As noted earlier, there was no specific event that prompted the composition of this hymn, but in his personal papers, Palmer cites a time of illness and discouragement preceding the night when he sat alone in his study and penned the verses. He says, "The words for these stanzas were born out of my own soul with very little effort. I recall that I wrote the verses with tender emotion. It was well remembered that when writing the last line, 'Oh, bear me safe above a ransomed soul,' the thought that the whole work of redemption and salvation was involved in those words, and suggested the theme of eternal praises, and this brought me to a degree of emotion that brought abundant tears. Having written the 4 stanzas of the poem as a personal catharsis, Palmer copied them to the small leather-bound journal he carried, reading them over now and then for his own comfort. By his own admission, he never intended to publish them or even show them to anyone else. 2 years later, however, Palmer was visiting a friend in Boston and happened to meet an old acquaintance, Dr. Lowell Mason. As he walked down a busy street, Mason was a musician and composer, and at that time was compiling a book of hymns for publication. As he and Palmer talked, he inquired if Palmer were familiar with any text that would serve as hymns. Reaching into his own pocket, Ray Palmer produced his journal and showed Mason the poem he had written 2 years earlier. Mason was so impressed with the 4 stanzas that he accompanied Palmer into a nearby store where he copied them down. Mason took the words home and composed a tune he entitled Olivet to accompany them. He was so enthusiastic about the new hymn that he again saw Palmer a few days later, and he proclaimed, "Mr. Palmer, you may live many years and do a good many things, but I think you will be best known to posterity as the author of My Faith Looks Up to Thee." Ray Palmer did go on to accomplish many things in his long and fruitful life as a minister, writer, and translator of ancient Latin manuscripts. Mason's prophecy was to be reality, however, as Ray Palmer's other accomplishments have paled beside the notoriety he gained from being the author of this beloved American hymn. My faith looks up to thee, thou Lamb of Calvary, Savior divine. Now hear me while I pray, take all my guilt away. Oh, let me from this day be wholly thine. May thy rich grace impart strength to my fainting heart, my zeal inspire, as thou hast died for me. Oh, may my love to thee, pure, warm, and changeless be, a living fire. While life's dark maze I tread, and griefs around me spread, be thou my guide. Bid darkness turn to day, wipe sorrow's tears away, nor let me ever stray from thee aside. When ends life's transient dream, when death's cold sullen stream shall o'er me roll, blessed Saviour, then in love, fear and distrust remove, all bear me safe above, a ransomed soul. And as we used to sing in the church I Started off that when I was a kid. All